here. Hopefully, my internet connection's good here. At a park, getting ready to go for a walk, and that's what kind of spurred me on to jump on here and do a little bit of a live stream here, touch base with you guys, and how we can, we can walk our way to sobriety. We can walk, we can run, we can bike, we can do any kind of physical activity that helps us. As you can see that we got snow here now, and it's probably about maybe about 4, 5, 6 inches. I don't know. Most of this is from the other day. We got another inch this morning, but I got to tell you, and once winter hits, it's hard to stay motivated to exercise, to stay in shape, and especially early on in my sobriety. The first year, I mean, I quit in April, so I mean, I had all summer, so I was like 6 months sober before winter started, and I was active, active, doing things all the time, busy. Uh, Once winter hit that year, I didn't do much. I always have counted my steps. I've always monitored my calories. I've always, not always successfully. I haven't been actually been as successful as I'd like to be in the eating department. But as far as walking goes, I've always been able to kind of keep on pace with my walking routine. So, but like I said, that first year in sobriety, I got lazy. I'll be honest, I got lazy. I kind of figured I could just kind of take a few months off before it started to warm up again, and go from there. I mean, I tried to walk indoors. I did, did a little bit of that. Typically, I don't run. I'm a walker. I used to run. I used to run a lot. I used to run a lot of miles in my 20s and into my 30s, and then I started getting pretty bad shin splints. So I knocked that out. Sadly, I was kind of disappointed to let that go, but it was fine. I took up walking, and welcome, Joe's. So Joe says I'm having a hard time, an awful time staying sober. The winter depression hit hard, so I started up again and feeling awful, especially since I'm a binge drinker. Once I start, I can't stop. So yeah, I'm glad that you're here checking in, because yeah, that's a big thing. It's hard to it's hard to stop. And if you're a binge drinker, and it sounds like you were, like I was, you know that once you have one, your day is going to be drinking. And welcome, Alan. And you give it, but you give into it. I mean, you start to get used to that daily ritual. It's something that, I mean, I looked forward to it. I woke up most mornings thinking about alcohol. I wasn't hungover to the point where I still didn't crave alcohol once I got up. I mean, I didn't start drinking right away. Typically, I'd have work or I'd be busy at home. But if I was at home and I wasn't working, yeah, I'd be starting early in the day. And that trip to the store was exciting. I'll be honest. Going up to the store, picking out the drinks for the day or night or whatever. I mean, it was fun. It was huge. I mean, that was what I lived for, honestly. And so yeah, I'm glad that you're here, because we can kind of help you out here. And I do have a favorite NFL team, the Lions. The Lions are my favorite team. That's my team. Good or bad, it's always been there. So so yeah, that's kind of what it was like. So I don't know what your cravings to drink are. If it's just you're just addicted. I mean, but I didn't really want to give it any weight that I was addicted to alcohol for the most of my life. I mean, I knew I had issues with it, but I just thought of it as it is a habit. It's a bad habit, but it's a habit. It's not hurting anybody else. Uh, I mean, it's not. I'm not, putting it in someone else's body. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm not hurting anybody else. Uh, but when I was able to quit drinking for a short time, I'd say a couple weeks, that's when I started to recognize that yeah, I was addicted to alcohol. It wasn't a habit. It was something that I did. I lied to myself. I think when we're stuck in addiction, when we drink a lot or do drugs or whatever it is we're doing, we're good at lying to ourselves. We're good at it. It is what it is. I mean, most human beings, I find, they would rather lie to themselves than tell themselves the truth, and that could be about anything. So that's one of those things that I learned through recovery is that I was lying to myself. Alcohol. I was telling myself that alcohol was helpful. I was telling myself that I needed alcohol to survive. I needed alcohol to live. If I didn't have it, I'd be bored. If I um, if I tried to give it up, I'd struggle, and it was because I didn't have my security blanket. Honestly, that's really what it was about. I thought that alcohol was enhancing every moment of my day. I mean, I didn't do much when I was drinking. I'd watch sports, I'd watch movies, I'd hang around the house, maybe go outside and hang out in the yard or whatever, play with my dogs, play with my kids, that kind of thing. But I mean, I didn't have a lot of ambition to do anything outside of the house. I mean, I really didn't. I just wanted to drink. And if you watched my video the other day about the DUI, that was something that changed my life in a way that I didn't drink and drive anymore. So it was helpful in that regard. But at the same time, it kind of limited my sense of adventure. Like I didn't feel like I wanted to do anything but drink and stay home and drink. If I was invited somewhere, I would only go if someone else was going to be driving. If as I got older, I got a little bit more lax in that because I knew that I could have one or two and be okay to drive, but then I'd go home and I would drink one after another. So it wasn't like um, that was any better. I mean, yeah, I mean it was okay. It was good that I was getting out, socializing, and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I mean, I was one of those people that would just go home and drink. And thank you, Jasmine. Thanks so much. Yeah, every little bit you send here, it keeps the channel going, keeps the channel supported. So I appreciate that very, very much. So yeah, so that I mean, but I stayed home. I would drink typically uh, when I would feel like I didn't like give my problem with alcohol a lot of weight until I was like hungover a lot of times. So I would go weeks and months and in some cases years without confronting it again. And I would typically only confront it because my problem with alcohol because I had a huge hangover or I did something stupid. Honestly, those were the reasons why. And but that's not a big motivator to stay sober just because we did that. It's not like a huge motivator. And then you say, I'm not going to drink again, and I would say that, and I would give myself a few days. I would even go up to like 7 or 8 days at a time and not drink. But I'd get to that like week, and I'd be like, you know what, I forget about all the crummy stuff that I went through with my drinking, and I don't care anymore. I feel good. I feel better, and I'm just going to go back to it, and I'm going to moderate. I'm going to try to drink less. I'm going to try to drink later in the day or make my drinking sessions shorter, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And all these concessions I would make in my mind when I quit drinking, I didn't have to make any of those decisions anymore. That's the best thing about it. Like I quit because of the same reasons that I used to not drink for a week this time. It was because of a blow up at my family. It was embarrassment. It was shame. It was all those things. It was a hangover. It was my heart racing for an entire like day and a half because I was drinking so much. I quit during the pandemic. I was drinking every day earlier and earlier. So I was coming off of like a 6 day in a row bender. I was drinking around like 11 or 12 every day and drinking all day until like 11 or 12 at night. And then I would get to that end of the week or so, about 5 or 6 days into it, and I would incorporate hard liquor. it was typically beer that I was drinking, but I was incorporating vodka at the end of the day, and it was causing me to feel really bad the next day. So I would take a day off of drinking. I did that like 6 weeks straight. And then this happened, and I thought, I'm going to be able to, um, I'm going to be able to just drink what I normally drink, and then that's it. But when I kept incorporating that after like a week, it was like I was trying to reach for more buzz, more escape. Um, we were all anxious about COVID and everything else. On top of, I wasn't working. There was just a lot going. I was always home with the kids. Uh, I was just, there was no escape, and I mean that's kind of the reality in general anyway. I COVID wasn't like a huge change from that. It was just that when we were adding on top of that extra stress, I just felt like, there's just, this is boring, and there's not much else to do. So let's just do that. And so once I got to that, uh, once I had that issue, that blow up in my family, I was like, I got to make a change. I don't know if I can quit drinking or not, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna have to give it a try. Maybe I'll have to wean myself off because I've been drinking so much, so often, that I don't know if I'm physically dependent on alcohol or not. Maybe I am. It turned out that I wasn't physically dependent on it. It was more of a mental thing. I mean, I knew that pretty much. I could, your body. I knew, I kind of knew how I'd be able to get through this and not drink. And once I did that, and I did that by the same title as this video, which is I kind of walked my way through it. I knew what I needed to do. I needed to research it. I needed to find a group. I needed to go to therapy. I needed to find a therapist that specialized in drug and alcohol addiction. Um, I needed to do things at the witching hour every day that I normally wouldn't do. I would normally crack that beer. Instead of cracking that beer, I would take a walk. I would play with my dog. I would get out of my head. I would get out of the space where I would normally be tempted to drink alcohol. I still had beer in my fridge, but I wasn't tempted to drink it because it really wasn't my favorite beer. It was the one that I would drink regularly, but it was only because I enjoyed it okay, and it was cheaper than like the beers that I would regularly drink. But I mean, I would drink whatever. I liked bourbon. I would drink hard liquor sometimes. I would drink wine sometimes. It just really didn't matter. But typically, it was this beer, and it was in my fridge, and I didn't really crave it. Like I didn't feel like escaping. I just wanted to feel better and try new things. So that's ultimately what I did. Um, and so yeah, so that's what I did. I would if I was hungry or thirsty, because that's a big thing. Halt, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Now, if you can recognize your basic need is, like if you're hungry, then you need to eat. If you're thirsty, you need to drink water or something not alcohol, and talk to a friend. And once that craving to drink subsides, because it will, uh, you feel stronger for it, and then you can move on with your day. And then when that happens again tomorrow, because it will, you do the same thing. And like I said, walking my way to sobriety, 5+ years alcohol free. I consider myself just Josh. I'm not a non-drinker at this point. Uh, Joe says I've been drinking for 17 years, besides 8.5 months sober. Wow. Well, you can do 8.5 months, so you can do it again. Um, I drank for 27, so I can relate to that. Thanks for the high five, Frank. I appreciate that. Uh, let's see, Grandma's Boy. No cravings after what'd you have? Um, so yeah, that's a huge thing is getting through that urge to drink by doing anything that you like to do that doesn't involve alcohol and giving yourself what you actually need. Maybe you need a nap, you know? Maybe maybe you need to talk to somebody because you're angry or you're lonely. Um, I didn't struggle too much with like the loneliness feeling. I mean I did have bouts of it, but anger for sure. I mean anger was a big one. That was really the reason why I quit drinking uh, in the first place was because I couldn't control my anger. I was just the alcohol when things weren't going the way that I wanted them to in my life. I would typically drink more, and that did make me more angry and irritable. And that was fine when I was younger and I didn't have a family. But when I had a family and I started noticing that, that's really when I felt like it had to be a change had to happen because the drinking wasn't working anymore like it used to, and that's so I had to do a deep introspection and a deep dive into what was the reasoning behind my drinking, and I could only figure that out by not drinking. So that was the cure all it for that. Um, yeah, weed. I don't do weed. If you've watched any of my videos, I made one on that topic, and I've mentioned it here and there, not very often, um, but no, I did in my teenage years. I gave it up because of the DUI, and then when I went back to it, I just was paranoid, heart palpitations, and it lasted all throughout the high. So it was like I did feel good, high. I felt high, but I felt uncomfortable and all that other stuff. And not to mention, I would forget where I was, and I didn't really know how to speak. So, like, if you're going for that, then that's great. But at the same time, it's the same thing with alcohol. It was the same thing with alcohol for me. Uh, it's addictive, and it's like I lean on it way too much, and it doesn't ultimately end up helping me. So yeah, I did consider weed because it became legal here like in 2019, like the a year before I quit drinking alcohol, and I was considering it. But after talking about it to my therapist and kind of batting it around in my own mind, uh, I didn't want to add another addiction, which I didn't think that I would. Like I said, those feelings are unsettling. All those feelings. So like, yeah, it might have been an escape for a day or something like that, but it ultimately wouldn't solve the underlying issues, which is what I had to figure out. And it took 3 years to get to a point where I felt like I could like I worked things out, like it was step by step. Um, it was it was not drinking for the first 90 days or so. It was just not drinking. That was the main thing. And then after that, I worked on certain things. It was working on my relationships. It was working on my self esteem. It was working through past trauma. It was working through current trauma. It was working through current issues that I was facing. Uh, but then it became more. It became, I started like growing in my faith. I found a church and a pastor. Um, and then I started to recognize that I was like really hung up on caring what other people thought a lot, particularly my kids. But it could be anybody in general, like any little comment from a coworker or something that was derogatory that I would take to heart. I would ruminate on it. I could have potential to do that. So it was working through all those things, and then ultimately, once I did all that, I started this channel. That's kind of the reason, and that was the reason I was able to start this channel. I always had an idea of doing that at some point, and really, this is just the first step of many things to come in this realm. I'm not sure where it's going exactly. I know that it's, but I know that it's heading in a good direction. And yeah, a real pastor will set somebody straight. Absolutely, 100%. And so let's see. Uh, yeah, if Spencer says if I don't if I drink, there's no way I'm working out. And and yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm here, and I titled this "Walk Your Way to Sobriety" because I'm sitting at home. There's not really any football games on that I'm really that interested in till later, and we got snow on the ground. It's cold outside. I went out and shoveled and snow blowed and stuff earlier this morning, uh, and I know that I need to still get in the steps that I do in the summertime and the spring and the fall, and because that's one of the things that keeps me clear minded uh, is walking and hiking and um, getting my steps in. And I've incorporated cardio, uh, like wow, 4 or 5 days a week. I do it most days. Uh, and looking back on it, like I was a drinker, like typically 4 or 5 days out of the week, like most days. And now I exercise, I walk, I eat better than I used to. And like I said, I don't have to worry about counting the calories around drinking. And that's a huge thing, is just like I quit because I wanted a better life. I quit drinking because I wanted a better life. But a lot of things came with that. Like a lot of, I've saved so much money, thousands of dollars a year, uh, and tens of thousands of dollars since I quit. And that was just an added bonus. Like I just, I didn't really um, quit for that reason, but it's a big one. But our relationships thrive. Our mental clarity is better. We wake up, we don't feel hungover and groggy. Uh, we can get our ambition back. We can get our motivation back. Our kind of our um, excitement for life. Like I talk about in some of the videos I do, that getting back or getting to sobriety and feeling good in it and not wanting to drink is almost like going back to when you were a kid, like going back to when you were before you started drinking. Not that that time was all great, because it wasn't, but I mean there was still like hope in life. You know what I mean? There was still things to look forward to. There was things to strive for. There was, we had a lot of socializing happened during that time, more than it did as when I went into adulthood. You know what I mean? So like all those things, put all those things together, and it's a motivator to stay the course, to give it a little bit of time alcohol free. So that's what I got for you guys today. Like I said, I don't usually do, well, I don't think I mentioned it, but I don't usually do Sunday live streams. I usually do like Monday or Wednesday or Thursday. But I thought I'd try something new, and I'm glad that you guys jumped on here because I feel like this was a good talk. This was a good kind of a back and forth, a lot of comments. Somebody gave me 50 joules, and let's see. Oh, Jasmine, you wrote in there 1999. So is that the money you saved not drinking? Was that this year? And also, um, Joe's, how did 8.5 months sober? How did you do that? I'm interested to know. If you guys haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. checking out some more of my videos, my long form videos, um, and becoming a member too. I mean that I just started becoming or having the membership options because I got monetized in July, and those are some options for you guys. Because um, I didn't spend a ton of money when I quit drinking, but I did invest a little bit of money, which was therapy every week. I did, and then I bought a few books, uh, sobriety books. This Naked Mind by Annie Grace was a huge help. Joining that community was free, so I didn't have to spend money on that. But she recommended a book called Alcohol Explained by William Porter, and I read that book too, and that explains the science behind addiction and why alcohol is so addictive. Um, and so yeah, those two books, and then I bought a couple more books after that. Couple I Probably three or four books. A couple I finished, a couple I didn't finish. Um, but one was on relationships. But anyhow, I invested some money up front, and I'm glad that I did because it was helpful in my recovery. So I have that offered to you guys if you're interested. That's awesome. But if not, that's okay too. I still continue to make the the free stuff, the videos I come out with Sundays and Wednesdays. And like I said, I try to do a live stream at least once a week. But I feel like now that we're into winter, we all have kind of those blues or lack of ambition. So I think I'm going to try to tune in for live streams at least 2 or 3 times a week coming up. Maybe more like two, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm glad that you guys were here today. So yeah, stay tuned. I put a video out this morning. That alcohol demon voice video, man, that voice that held me back for a long time. Uh, so check that video out, and then I'll have another one on Wednesday, of course. So, um, but yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. Have a great sober day, and don't forget to check in. I've got a sobriety group, Sobriety in the Storm, on Facebook. It's a private group. You're free to join there. The link is pinned in all my videos. Um, so just click on any video and check the pinned section in the comments, and it's in there. So thank you guys so much for being here, and for those of you who have voiced where you're at and donated, I appreciate y'all. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time.